Hello, Morongo Basin and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. This is your Z107.7 local news for Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Keep your head on a swivel. That's what my dad taught me when I was learning to ride motorcycles on a little yellow Suzuki 50cc dirt bike. I quickly outgrew that and graduated to a bigger hand-me-down Honda that my sister had previously rode all over the Oregon mountains where I was growing up. You kept your head on a swivel because you were always scanning back and forth to make sure nothing crossed your trail. In the quiet and isolated Oregon wilderness, it was more about looking out for wildlife and trail dangers such as tree roots or surprise fences put up by illegal pot grows. This was in the early 90s, and in Southern Oregon, you were more likely to run into a hippie in the hills growing weed than you were to run into other dirt bikes. Still, you had to keep your head on that swivel, scanning the area for anything that could cause a collision or separate you from your bike in a spectacular fashion. I bring this up because this weekend is the second and possibly busiest weekend for the King of the Hammers out in Johnson Valley. Thousands of spectators, racers, and rock crawlers will be out and around the OHV area north of Joshua Tree. And if you're out on the dry lake right now, you probably aren't listening to this, but there are plenty of people who aren't attending and may be out on 247 over the next week. And now that I'm my dad's age, I can dispense the advice to keep your head on a swivel when you're driving anywhere this weekend. Alcohol and off-road vehicles are a terrible combination, but that doesn't stop them from mixing, and the very nature of Highway 247 lends itself to collisions of all kinds. Dirt trails parallel many parts of the highway and intersections near gas stations and the turnoffs to Johnson Valley will be extra busy with on and off-road traffic. Scan your periphery, keep your speed reasonable, and look out for pedestrians crossing the highway. That extra awareness could end up saving a life. And if you're out at King of the Hammers this weekend, please play it safe and keep drinking and driving as two separate activities. Tonight, Yucca Valley's Compound YV Gallery is holding an opening reception for their new solo exhibition called The Heart is an Organ of Fire from Joshua Tree artist Coco Hall. Reporter Gabriel Hart spoke to Compound YV's executive director Laura Wilson to gain further insight on this hot show.
The Heart is an Organ on Fire spans over 10 years of Coco Hall's work, envisioning both the precarious potential for fire and its horrific aftermath. In addition to the more blatant presence of flame, the show includes various ceramic and papier-mâché ashtrays and cigarettes, referencing the human appetite for fire despite its destructive nature. The show even goes beyond humans to insects, with a sculpture entitled Moth and Flames, which pokes fun at the proverbial moth drawn to a flame.
Fire. That was a starting point from a curatorial perspective because Caroline and I did a studio visit with Coco and we saw her candelabras. There's one that's plush and one that's like a felted papier-mâché, I believe. There's various references to fire. We have a grid of 6 gas cans that will be on individual shelves on one of the walls. There's a shirt that's up in flames and a trio of pants on fire. We have a cast glass revolver. So some of the pieces have heightened inflammatory quality, combustibility, if you will, given current events.
Because of the soft materials Hall uses, her work has a toy-like appeal even when confronting difficult and serious subject matter, inviting viewers into the darkly wry humor innate to our species.
So there's also this sort of tongue-in-cheek quality to some of the pieces. They could be more playful, whimsical. I think Coco has a very dark but very nuanced sense of humor that is very relatable.
Accompanying the show's deceptive darkness, and at times its silliness, are near life-size female figures embedded in white pillars, as if members of a Greek chorus or vigilant guards standing watch on either side of a fireplace. They observe everything, silently commenting on our actions, forced to bear the weight of the mantle as our fire rages on. The Heart is an Organ on Fire opening reception is from 6 to 10 p.m. this Saturday at Compound YV, located at 55379 29 Palms Highway in Old Town Yucca Valley, next to Snakebite Roadhouse. The event is free and open to the public. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Gabriel Hart.
Tonight, live from Joshua Tree, will bring together notable high desert residents to share their stories and songs. Funds from the tickets and food and drink sales help fund Miltree's ongoing effort to connect veterans and civilians to transform the wounds of war. This year, the lineup includes veteran activist Andrea Klein, writer Annie Knoll, musician Beth Allen, veteran filmmaker Brian O'Hare, documentarian Casey Kiernan, art advocate Gretchen Grunt, musician Kennedy Verrett, former 29 Palms Mayor Liz Meyer, musician Paulo Santo, and conservationist Sarah Bliss. The event is happening tonight and doors open at 6:30 p.m. Tickets to the event are available now at mill-tree.org, and we'll have a link at Z107.7fm.com. The 29 Palms Parks and Recreation Department received 2 grants that will directly fund programs for locals interested in their own health and youth sports. Reporter Heather Clisby has more.
At last Tuesday's 29 Palms City Council meeting, Amy Tessier of the city's Parks and Recreation Department updated council on 2 grants received from the National Recreation and Park Association.
I'm thrilled to share that the 29 Palms Parks and Rec has been awarded 2 national grants from the National Recreation and Park Association, which is a rare honor that highlights the strength of our programming and the trusted place in our community on a national level. These grants are not just funding, they are tools that help us turn collaboration into meaningful outcomes.
The Supporting Healthy Aging grant will fund Walk with Ease, a free 6-week walking program open to all ages. Led by certified instructors, it begins February 9th, Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 9 a.m. at Patriotic Hall, 5882 Lucky Avenue. The program was created by the Arthritis Foundation with support from the Centers for Disease Control as a community-based physical activity and self-management education program. In addition to the scheduled walking, the program includes health education, stretching and strengthening exercises, and motivational strategies. 29 Palms was one of 31 agencies nationwide to receive this $2,500 grant. The second NRPA grant was a unique surprise because the NRPA reached out to 29 Palms specifically. The grant will fund Girls Take the Court, a girls-only basketball clinic to be held at the Community Center Gym on February 16th, 2 to 5 p.m. for girls ages 6 to 14. Just 5 agencies nationwide received this $2,500 grant.
The second grant is especially extraordinary in my opinion because NRPA actually reached out to us personally. They contacted me and asked for 29 Palms to apply for the National Girls and Women in Sports Day micro grant. This recognizes the success and impact of our past program. They said that past work we've done with them was so impactful that they wanted us to apply again, which we did. Hundreds of agencies applied nationwide, and 29 Palms was picked as only one of 5 in the country to be getting this grant, which I think is very special and puts our small city on a national stage that everyone should be proud of.
Members of the 29 Palms High School girls basketball team will be running the clinic, and in the second half of the clinic will be assisted by members of the Copper Mountain College women's basketball team. Focus will be on skill building, mentorship, and positive role models in a celebration of National Girls and Women in Sports Day on February 4th. Finally, a plea from Tessier.
If anyone knows anyone in the WNBA, I am trying so hard to get a WNBA player to come to this event. I don't have connections in the WNBA, but if anyone does, let me know because that would just take this event to the next level for our girls.
Reporting for Z107.7, I'm Heather Clisby.
And this Sunday, out in luxurious Landers, the open-air flea market returns to the Moose Lodge parking lot from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Come browse your neighbor's handmade goods, homemade treats, and secondhand treasures. Everyone is welcome as vendor space is free, so if you feel like doing some selling, setup begins at 7 a.m. That's at the Moose Lodge this Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's out on Ricci Road, just across from the Landers Post Office. Tell them Z107.7 sent you. And that's your local news for Saturday. You can hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. More Morongo Basin residents get their local news from Z107.7 than any other source. Reporting out of Joshua Tree, California, alongside the award-winning Z107.7 news team, I'm Robert Hayden.